It's good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy, Millsy. Back with Hometown Commander. Back for another episode of Millsy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest out brew the Magic World. And as always, the deck list is going to be down in the description for you below. Well, EDH Rec random strikes again and gave me a commander I don't believe I've ever seen before, but was really interesting. If I recall correctly, this is part of that D&D movie Secret Lair. I could be 100% wrong about that, but that's my guess. But this was really interesting when I came across it on the random, and I decided I had to brew it. Simon Wild Magic Sorcerer is a 3-mana 1/1 human elf shaman. It says whenever we cast an instant or sorcery with mana value 3 or greater, we roll a d20. On a 1 to 9, each player draws a card. On a 10 to 19, just we draw a card. And on a 20, we copy that spell and choose a new target for the copy. So we have a blue commander that cares about drawing and spells. That's, well, I mean, par for the course for what you'd expect from blue, but I found this kind of interesting. You get the dice rolling payoffs, which there is a little bit in blue. Drawing the cards matters. There's a lot of blue cards that care about drawing cards. There's a lot of blue cards that care about casting spells. So I was like, man, this seems kind of fun. Let's see what we can do with it. So what do we want to do with Simon? Well, obviously draw cards. We want to use spells to draw cards. There's a lot of things that we can do to trigger abilities when we draw. So we're going to try to profit from drawing cards. And then we're going to have a bunch of other Spell-Slinging Payoffs that are just going to get us value and push us towards a board state that we can win. Well, right. On a 1 to 19, we're going to draw on Simon's ability. And on a 20, we copy that spell. But hey, either way, we're going to draw cards. But let's play spells that draw us cards. And remember, the goal here is to get 3 CMC or higher, or mana value higher, so we can get that draw. Contact other plane, roll a d20, 1 to 9, draw 2, 10 to 19, scry 2, and then draw 2, 20, scry 3, then draw 3. Interesting spell in its own right. Diviner's Portent doing a similar thing. We can either just draw X straight or scry and draw X on a higher roll. Frantic Surge, draw 2, discard 2, and untap the three lands. Here are cards that are going to allow us to draw and really pay off these draw type abilities while getting these hopefully either copied by Simon or allowing us to draw other cards. Flow of Knowledge, big 5-mana instant. Draw a card for each island we control that discard 2. Archmage's Charm kind of plays an interesting role. We have a couple of these charms in the deck that have multiple abilities. We can either draw 2 or counter a spell. And then Teferi's Aegis Insight, taking all the rest of the draws we're doing and drawing 2 instead. Which is pretty cool when we start to use these abilities to draw cards. And I think this is one of those enchantments that's going to really help us take advantage. But, okay. So, draw cards with Simon, draw cards from the spells. Okay, we get it, we want to draw cards, but why? How the heck can we pay off drawing cards? Well, we get to play 2 of my favorite blue Planeswalkers I've ever wanted to play when it comes to drawing cards in Mordenkainen and Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. Mordenkainen is a 6-mana, 5 loyalty Planeswalker. On the +2, we draw 2 and put a card from our hand on the bottom. -2 makes us a dog that's power and toughness is equal to twice the number of cards in our hand. And the -10 says we exchange our hand in our library, then shuffle, and we have no maximum hand size. Pretty wonky abilities, but I think the main thing we want to do with Mordenkainen is start making those dogs and then get more cards on our hand and use those dogs to get in for damage. Teferi's going to do something similar. Whenever we draw a card, we put a counter on it, and that's pretty great, especially if we can draw things with a bunch of spells. We run the risk of Teferi becoming an absolute powerhouse that our opponents have to try to figure out how to stop. 0 to draw a card, so it's basically going to effectively be a +1. -2 to make a 2/2 spirit with vigilance, and whenever we draw a card, we put a counter on it. These are the kind of tokens we want to start growing and getting out of control. And then its ultimate, which is just brutal. Target opponent chooses the permanent they control and returns it to its owner's hand. Then they shuffle each non-land permanent they control into its owner's library. This is a Cyclonic Rift plus, and if we can draw enough cards, I mean, we could be cranking this out every 1 or 2 turns and just punishing our opponents and getting ourselves through for some big power. Alondra, when we draw our 2nd card each turn to make a Drake, and we draw our 5th card each turn, it and each Drake we control gets +X until the turn where X is the number of cards in our hand. Alondra and those Drakes could be a big threat once we start drawing multiple cards a turn. Prosoditic Memory says we have no maximum hand size at the beginning of combat. If we draw more than 1 card this turn, we get to put counters on a creature where X is the number of cards we've drawn this turn, -1. Great ability. Again, the more cards we draw, the better. Ominous Sea is a pretty classic enchantment for card draw decks. When you draw a card, you put a counter on it, take it off, make a big 8, Kraken. Again, pretty easy to get set up and just take real advantage of. And then a little bit of the fun mill that blue gets, Psychic Corrosion. Whenever we draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard. Just a way to start pulling at our opponents as we're hopefully just drawing a ton of cards, right? This is the kind of ability we really would love. I think we wouldn't mind a little bit more of, but it's these kind of abilities that we really want to profit from. But okay, we don't just want to profit from drawing. We have all these spell-slinging things. We have all these spells in our deck that can do different things. Draw us cards, removal, all manner of things. But I think the best way that we can move towards a winnable board state is to use our Spell-Slinging Payoffs to help get us value. Murmuring Mystic, Poppet Stitcher, Tower End, all of these make tokens when we cast instant or sorcery spells. Tower End really works hand in hand with Alondra, making those drakes, but otherwise we're just getting tokens, really taking advantage of all of them. Poppet Stitcher on the backside can actually flip over and make all of our tokens into 3/3s, which isn't a bad ability in its own right if we have a wide board state and want to try to hit in for some good damage. Feywild Trickster is kind of an interesting one. It's not a direct spell-slinging payoff if you think about it, but it is with Simon out. Whenever we roll one or more dice, we make a fairy dragon token. That's still pretty good. I mean, we can roll dice with other abilities, and we can roll dice with Simon every time we cast a spell, so that works pretty darn well. Jin Gataxias, where we cast a non-creature spell with mana value 3 or greater, we draw a card, kind of pairing up in on that ability of Simon's carrying about 3 or greater, and just really take advantage. Ginny isn't a bad body with Ward 2, and again, just more cards to draw into more and really proc those draw triggers. And then O'Hare, Pock Boutique, whenever we cast an instant spell from our hand, it gets a rebound. So beginning of our next upkeep, we can cast it, and this can get more triggers on Simon without us having to pay the mana, draw more cards, get more of these abilities. Well, the one thing I haven't talked about yet is what happens if we draw too many cards. And if you're playing a blue deck that cares about drawing cards, you'll very much recognize the 2 cards on the right. But I want to talk about Spark Double, a card that I'm hoping to copy Simon with, or some of the other creatures we have that can actually copy both Mordenkainen and Teferi as well. But to get more triggers, gain us more value. But Lab Maniac and Jace Wielder Mysteries are 2 cards you're going to see a lot in these decks that care about drawing, because they both say if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead of losing. And that could be really important if we start going really deep into our deck with these abilities. Especially if somebody else is milling us or forcing us to draw. If we can hit into either of these 2, we're probably safe to just continue running through our game plan. Now, Jace is a pretty fun ability to mill someone and then draw, which isn't bad. And then to -8 could straight up win us the game, depending on how few cards left are in our library. But these are 2 key things in our deck. If we see them, we want to protect them. We want to keep them safe so that if we need them, we can end the game with them if we end up drawing too much or getting too much value off of our cards. But like I said in the show before, and I'll say it again, no deck is ever complete. And I think I've done a pretty good job at balancing draw on the deck, but I think we may need some more. And if we do, I think these are 3 cards we could think about adding in testing if we don't see it enough. I really wanted to add Fairy Mastermind, but it's like an $18 card. There are a lot of other cards that draw us cards, but if this is something you care about or you got one lying around, I think it's great for the deck. Pull from Tomorrow and Blue Sun Zenith both work really well with that Simon effect. All you need to do is put 1 or 2 in the X for each of these cards to get Simon's ability, and they just get better and better the later in the game. Blue Sun Zenith shuffles back in, which is pretty great as well. It can be a finisher to get us towards those Lab Maniac Jace things, but I think we have enough draw. But if you don't feel like you have enough draw, I think both of these could come in and just get you access to more draw. Well, let's get into our 2 goldfishes, because we're doing 2 now because I like you guys so much. Keeping a 5-lander. Not something I'd ever, or 4-lander, not something I really thought I'd ever see in mono blue, but we will take it. Turn 1, get that Castle Vantress in there. Might as well. I mean, we have nothing to do in turn 1 anyway. Might as well get that in tapped. Rivendell, I mean, same thing here. I'd kind of rather just get it in tapped. Yes, it could come untapped later, but again, nothing to do on 2 besides Reality Shift, and I doubt we have anything on the board right now we want to get rid of. Turn 3 of a choice. I mean, I would love to set up Simon, and there's the Irenicus next turn to really make Simon pretty fun. We could set up the Arcane Signet this turn. This is a turn where we'd have to make a pretty big decision. I can't Arcane Signet and do anything else. I don't know. For the purpose of this, let's do Simon, I guess. It might be the wrong call, but hey, 3-mana commander, let's get it down on turn 3, and let's have some fun next turn. Turn 4, I think I probably would just play something like Arenicus. We would go ahead and try to copy Simon, get more triggers. And on cast, we're going to go ahead and roll that d20. Can I roll a d20? We most certainly can. Roll to 17, which would get us a card. We would draw a card and make a copy of Simon. So now we have a copy of Simon as well. Let's see, can we make a copy of it? There we go. Now we have 2 commons, which is pretty great. And now if our opponent gets rid of one we don't particularly mind. We draw here for the next turn, get another down. I think we get that Arcane Signet down. I think there's 2 choices here. We can get a tutelage down, which would be great on later turns, starting to mill our opponents out a little bit. Or we could frantic search, just trying to get more things into our hand. Or we could profs. I think I like tutelage. This is going to come in, draw us a card, and then we have to pitch card. Ooh. Vicious Segovia is going to be great, because when we flip it over, we can start helping. Our creatures can start convoking, which is pretty good. Frantic Search could help. Thought Vessel could help for the maximum hand size eventually. Man, we have a pretty solid hand. Spark Double could really help in getting another Simon or another other creature. This is tough. This is a tough. I kind of feel like it's the Segovia, and I hate that being the option. But hey, we pick somebody, they mill 2. And we will take it. No Simon triggers this turn, but that's okay. I mean, at the end of the day, we set up our board state even more. Now we draw for turn. Somebody mills 2. We have some things to do. Mind Splice Apparatus is pretty cool. I think I would play the Thought Vessel, which sits us at right about 5 mana. And I think we just Frantic Search here. This is going to cause 2 Simon triggers before we get to do Frantic Search's abilities. So let's do it. Roll to 2 dunny. 16 and a 7. Okay, so the 16 is going to have us draw a card. The 7 is going to have everyone draw a card. We now mill somebody for a total of 4. Frantic Search is going to go off. We draw 2 and discard 2 and then untap 3 lands. So we get to hopefully play something else. I'll pitch an island and an island since we're up pretty high on mana. And we can untap 3 of them. We could Mystic Choice or Multiple Choice. We could get that profs down. We've drawn, 3 cards this turn? I kind of like that. Get that down, get 2 counters on our original Simon, because it's 3 we've drawn this turn, -1, so that's 2. Let's get it down on our commander, get 2 there. We could have an attack if need be. But again, now this is a pretty cool board state. We milled some people. Set up for next turn, multiple choice. Works the best when you pay 5 mana into it. Play land for turn. Ooh, Sea Double is pretty fun. You can use it to copy a spell or make a token of a target creature. We don't have anything non-legendary out to make a copy of, or we do. Sorry, we have Simon, which is non-legendary because of the Vow Duplication. I completely forgot. So we could Sea Double another Simon if we wanted to. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We would actually have enough mana to Sea Double and multiple choice. We could also just multiple choice and copy it with Sea Double. We wouldn't get the X's 4, but we still would get the X's 3, so we'd still get all of them, right? So we would cast Sea Double or multiple choice for 3, right? Spending 4. We pay 4 to Sea Double it, copying the multiple choice and choosing new targets. That gets us 4 triggers of Simon, right? 2 on the multiple choice, 2 on the Sea Double. We said it was 4. Okay, so let's do this. 6, 10, 7, 13. So 6, 10, 7, 13. So for the 6 and the 7, everyone draws. For the 10 and the 13, only we draw. We now have 4 triggers of Teferi's Tutelage to mill someone with. Now we get to the Sea Double, targeting multiple choice. Scry 1 for an island. I'm going to put it, it goes on bottom. We're going to put it on bottom and then draw, mill somebody out for 2. X is 2, choose a player, they return a creature they control to its owner's hand. We just pick one. For the third one, we make a 4/4 elemental. That's pretty cool. Sea Devil's now done resolving. Now we do the other multiple choice. Scry 1. Fierce Guardianship's pretty good. We'll put that to hand. Mill somebody for 2. Again, pick somebody, put something back in their hand. Make another 4/4 elemental. So for now, for 8 mana, we've gotten a bunch of value. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards drawn this turn for the profs. So man, we got a lot to go. I don't think we played our land this turn, so we play that island. 8 in hand, so we're probably gonna have to pitch something, but that's okay. We move to combat, put 7 counters maybe on this one instead, so we get some more there. Actually, we wouldn't want them on the token, because that couldn't get commander damage if that's something we care about. So let's just put them on the other Simon in case he ever could potentially get in for commander damage. Take an attack if we can. I mean, we're really... Oh, sorry, no maximum hand size because of prof. So we're really profiting at this point, and I think all we have to do next turn is play this Teferi, draw a few more cards. Haughty Djinn's getting pretty big at this point. Would become a threat. We have the Fierce and the Cryptic Command to start backing ourselves up. I really like this board state. Let's get into our other Goldfish. We see a 3-lander with props, Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy, where we cast instant sorcery from our hand. We can cast up to 1 target of the other type from our graveyard. Kind of cool. Alondra there if we get up to 4, and then Mercurial Spelldancer can actually copy a spell by taking oil counters off of it. Kind of interesting. Draw turn 1. Let's just get that Rivendell in tapped. We got nothing we can do turn 1 anyway. Turn 2. Ooh, this is an interesting play. Do we play the Spelldancer or do we play Baral? Well, either way, I think I'm probably just going to play Simon on turn 3. So I think I will get the Spelldancer down here. And we won't be able to get an oil counter next turn because I think I still want to play Simon. But here we are, turn 3. I would probably just, I think, get Simon down here, take an attack at somebody with the Spelldancer. Again, it can't be blocked, so get it in, I guess, might as well. Turn 4, put that lonely soundbar in tapped. We can get an oil counter on the Spelldancer by playing the Eidetic Memory if we want to. That'll come in and get us a card, though, which could potentially get us into another land. Or we could just play Baral and make everything a little bit cheaper. Let's play the Memory here. Drawing into Reality Shift. And getting in a oil counter on Spelldancer. Take a hit. To hit somebody with the Spelldancer again. All right, now we're at 5 mana. I don't have any big spells for Simon that I really want to play, but I think getting Alondra or Min Wily Illusionist down wouldn't be a bad call. Let's get Alondra down. Let's think about that. Would that be the best call? Yeah, let's get Alondra down and then take another hit with the Spelldancer. What's really awkward is we get to see a non-creature spell, and that's really what we need so that we can get a Simon trigger and really start going. Well, this turn we see Baral's expertise. If there's any amount of... If there's enough creatures worth it here, I think I actually might Baral's. Because it's going to get us the card for Alondra. It'll get Spelldancer up to 2 oil counters, which means next turn we could copy something for free. And we get to play a card with Convert Mana Formula. So let's do this. We would bounce the things. Let's see. Simon would trigger. Simon would trigger, rolling us a 14, so only we draw, which is cool. Alondra makes the 2/2 Drake. Mercurial Spelldancer goes up to 2 counters, so now we can use its bottom ability. Then Brawls lets us cast this card with CMC 4 or less without paying its mana cost. Mean would make sense. Baral would make sense. Sakashima coming down as a copy of Simon would make sense. Gale would probably make sense now. We could get another Baral's expertise. I think maybe... I'm thinking maybe Gale, because now when we play this Reality Shift, we could get that Baral's for free. Let's see. Cast up to 1 target card of the other type from your graveyard if we play at exile. That's great. So next turn, we could play that Baral's if we play an instant. So I like that. I mean, now we got a decent setup started. Prof would put 1 token on something since we did draw a card. I might put it on the Spelldancer now that it's can't be blocked. Just make it start becoming a threat, right? Now it's a 3/2 with 2 L counters on it. I think I might maybe we think about using that ability next turn to copy something. Maybe if we draw into something, but I like it. Let's go one more turn. Wizard's Class is pretty cool, giving us no maximum hand size, but you know, Profs already does that, but it is a draw 2 if we level it up. Do we have anything else really else to do? Case of the Ransack can make things a little bit cheaper. Min is going to be really good if we start drawing cards to get those illusions. I mean, I kind of like the idea, if there's any creatures on the board, Min into Reality Shift makes sense. Min, Reality Shift, getting Brawl's expertise out of our graveyard seems like it could also, right, that could be a line. Wizard's Class and literally just ticking it up to draw the cards seems like a line. Gets us another Drake, sets us up for next turn, potentially, right? We did just Brawl's expertise last turn, so I mean, there could not be enough creatures. Let's go into the Wizard's Class. Let's tick it up to draw the 2. That is going to get Profs to go off, right, to give us some counters this turn. 1, 3, we'd have enough to play that Arcane Signet, but that does make us another Drake because of Alondra. Again, I like this because now it sets up the next turn in case we draw something else. Did we draw the 2? We draw the Island and the Arcane Signet. Maybe take another attack with the Spell Dancer here, get another oil counter from it, so we should be up to 4 if we attacked with it last turn as well. Now we can start potentially copying something with a Spell Dancer. We draw into a Renicus. This seems like it could be fun. Again, that might be something that could be fun to copy, make multiple copies of Alondra, make multiple copies of Mean. Like, these are both fun cards to make copies of because we get more tokens. And I think this is a good board state. Now, we're getting into this mid-range where we can find some way to get some more value and maybe get in on the sky. If we can find a way to draw a ton of cards at once, Alondra could just end the game with the Drakes. Like, that could be the argument, is Arenicus Simon. And Simon could just draw us a bunch of cards here, depending on what we roll. But we could, if we think about this, we could Arenicus copying Simon here, right? Here, actually, let's see about this. Let's do this. Let's attack with the Spell Dancer, right? Well, that would turn down this plan, wouldn't it? Because we have to deal damage with it to get the free copy. I think I like the idea of Arenicusing Simon here. This is going to trigger Simon, and everybody draws a card. That's going to get us another Drake with Alondra. Okay, I like it. Now we have mana left if we wanted to Reality Shift into Baral's expertise. But I guess if we weren't going to do that, then we'd probably just play Mean, right? I think that would probably make more sense. You know, if we weren't gonna Reality Shift into Brawl's expertise, we play Mean. I think maybe the Reality Shift into expertise is next turn to get all these draw triggers to try to get to 5. So that's probably what I would have done. Probably should have played Mean first, then Vile Duplicated Simon, getting extra copy, making an illusion and a Drake, and then going into next turn where we just Reality Shift into that expertise off of Gale, and that probably ends the game. We get this cast twice. We use this to play something from our hand. I think we could probably find some combination here to probably draw 5 cards or 4 cards off that combination. So I like this. This is a good board state, and I think it's a good place to stop. But let me know, what do you think of Simon down in the comment section below. This one was interesting. It kind of intrigued me more than I expected for a mono blue deck. I had to say, if I probably brewed a mono blue deck, this one might not be bad. It's fun. It's got the spell slinging. It's got the draw. I think that's pretty cool. But let me know what you think down in the comment section below, and we'll catch you guys next time.